I'd like to welcome everyone to the City of Lebanon Plan Commission meeting on Tuesday, January 26th at 7 o'clock. And we have called the meeting to order. And Kelly, would you call the roll, please?
Okay. Ali Mullen. Ashley Paddock.
Here.
John Lastly.
Here.
Kevin Krulik.
Here.
Keith Campbell.
Here.
Jeremy Lawler.
Here.
Brian Tandy.
Here.
Dan Bashor.
Here.
Lori Gross. Here.
Okay. Now we need a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
Second. And we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I oppose. Okay, the next item is the election of officers for president, vice president, and a secretary, which is Kelly, I think, right?
Yes.
I mean, so, yep. Any motions?
I make a motion that we retain the officers from 2020 for 2021, and that would be Keith Campbell, President, Brian Tandy, Vice President, and Kelly Cook, Secretary.
Second. We have a motion and a second. You want to call the roll, Kelly?
Ali Mullen. Ashley Paddock.
Yes.
John Lastly.
Yes.
Kevin Krulik.
Yes.
Keith Campbell.
Yes.
Jeremy Lawler.
Yes.
Brian Tandy.
Yes.
Dan Bashor.
Yes.
Lori Gross.
Yes.
Okay, the next item is the approval of the 2021 meeting dates, and you should all have a copy of that. You're on the computer there too. Second thing down. We have a motion that starts January 19th and ends on December 20th. So, somebody like to make a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the 2021 meeting date.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Got them all. Okay, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda. I don't have any old business. You guys have any? Ladies, we have any old business? Ben, we have any? Okay. Okay, next, new business, docket number 21-1, Chuck Hunt requesting a rezoning approval from ID Industrial District to Planned Business Commercial. The property is located at 845 Indianapolis Avenue. Ben?
Good evening, Planning Commission members. Start off the year with a rezone application. We'll pull up the street and we'll just kind of show you what we're talking about here. Oh, the microphone. There we go, we had to wake up the computer. All right, property here is on the southeast side of town where State Road 32 comes into town at Indianapolis Avenue. It's an old industrial building here that's right here on that north corner. The applicant is seeking to get this rezoned to Planned Business Commercial. There is no proposed development at this time, although they are marketing it for commercial redevelopment. And I know they've had a number of inquiries about it thus far. So this is the first step for them in order to get this redeveloped, is to go ahead and get the property rezoned to Planned Business Commercial to set up that redevelopment opportunity. So in terms of process, this is a multi-step process to finish a rezoning. We start with the Plan Commission on a public hearing tonight, where the Plan Commission will then make a recommendation on the rezone that gets forwarded to the Common Council. The Common Council then, based on the recommendation, will look to either adopt or deny the rezone based on that recommendation as a rezone ordinance. So it's a couple of steps here, starting with the recommendation from the Plan Commission tonight. Just to kind of walk through a few things from the staff report, there are a series of criteria that we have to review as it relates to any rezone application. The first is consistency with the comprehensive plan. And we did look at the comprehensive plan that identifies On the future land use map, that this would be designated for commercial uses, which includes a variety of commercial types like office, retail, restaurants, and professional services. So we have found that this request for the rezone to plain business commercial is consistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. The second thing is compatibility with adjacent uses. There's a table in the staff report that identifies existing land uses and current zoning. Zoning all in the area is all currently industrial, but the actual existing uses are a mix of commercial and industrial uses that surround the property. As you can see here, there's a large industrial user to the north. You've got a series of commercial and smaller industrial uses on the other side of Indianapolis Avenue surrounding the property. So we have found that the request for rezone to plain business commercial is compatible with surrounding uses. The third is the desirability of the land use. And looking at this, the corridor includes a mix of commercial and industrial uses, and this is a site that's got good proximity to the State Road 32 gateway on the east side of town. And the redevelopment of this site for commercial use would allow it to be brought up to current standards for architecture and landscaping, which would be a desirable solution for this site. So we have found that the rezoning to plain business commercial is a desirable land use for the proposed area. Fourth criteria is impact on property values. We've determined that the change of the land use to plain business commercial would allow for a variety of commercial and retail uses, encouraging the redevelopment of the site, again, bringing it up to current architecture and landscaping standards, including the standards within the thoroughfare overlay district. So the addition of new commercial uses and the upgraded site would likely have a positive impact on values in the area. So we have determined that the rezone will not have a negative impact on property values. And the fifth is responsible growth. We've indicated that the rezone to plain business commercial would complement the variety of commercial industrial uses within the area. Because this is a redevelopment opportunity, the site is adequately served by all necessary utilities. So we have determined that the rezone to plain business commercial does represent responsible growth and development. And with that, to conclude, in review of the rezoning request to plain business commercial, Lebanon Planning staff recommends this petition be forwarded by the Plan Commission to the Common Council with a favorable recommendation. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions?
Let me take the questions, then you have a
You're
chance.
not showing all the property though. Part of it's not on there. This lot here is also included. And sometimes when you pull it up on different sites, it does that. I don't know why, but it does.
I don't have the other.
Is this in
So
here?
I don't
See
even-
this lot right here? This was a vacated alley. This was all put together back before we bought it.
Okay, I'd have to look at that because I reviewed the ownership and I didn't think you owned that property.
You know, I'm paying taxes on it.
Well, I'll have to check on it. That's all part of the legal description that
Okay.
goes to the council, so.
I just wanted to make, you know,
So we need to clarify, this is not a legal document I'm showing here, it's just an exhibit. The applicant is indicating there's an additional parcel here that he owns as part of the rezone. We'll make sure to clarify that before anything goes to the council. We'll have to have a legal description that's part of it, so we'll make sure we get that confirmed. But with that, I'll answer any questions.
Okay. Anyone on the commission have a question? Okay, the applicant come up and have your chance. Chuck?
really don't have much to add. Ben pretty well said it all. So, I mean, just we put the building up for sale. We've got some interest in it, you know, but it's going to be due to classification because the ID does not allow enough area to build, you know, on some of the prospects we've had. So that's basically that in a nutshell. So any questions, I'd be more than glad to answer. And I got my brother here, my partner with me, and we've owned it for several years, and it's time to move on.
I have a question for you, Chuck.
Yes.
How about the trucks and the vehicles back there that's been parked there for a long, long time? They don't need to be there, do they?
Do they need to be there? Well, they've been there since we've owned the building. I mean, but I guess the thing about it is, if we get the rezonification and we sell the building, they won't be there.
you have some pretty good prospects for it, though?
I
Yes,
can't hardly hear you.
You have some good prospects for the building?
I got a written offer
Okay,
with a down payment.
that's good.
I would
And
make
and
a,
I've got another company that's in the interim has expressed interest into it, at the same time.
Okay, good. John, do you have no question?
no, I was just going to enter a motion.
Okay,
If there's no other question,
yeah, I
Any other
will.
questions?
I got it. Nope. Now, is there anyone from the public who'd like to speak? If so, go walk up to the microphone and identify yourself. If not seeing anyone, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we pass on docket number 21-1 with a favorable recommendation upon the, what I want to say, the dimension difference,
Right.
the lot difference, having the lot difference being
Clarified?
verified correctly. Yes, thank you.
If you got a legal
A
description.
legal description,
Yeah.
thank you, Keith. My mind went totally blank.
That happens.
Happens when you get older.
That's right. I know how that goes.
I'll
Okay.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Kelly, would you call the roll, please?
Ally Mullen? Yes. Ashley Paddock?
Yes.
John Lastly?
Yes.
Kevin Krulik?
Yes.
Keith Campbell?
Yes.
Jeremy Lawler?
Yes.
Brian Tandy?
Yes.
Dan Bayshore?
Yes.
Lori Gross.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is docket number 21-2, City of Lebanon Highway Garage requesting development plan approval to construct a new highway garage facility to be located at 316 North Mount Zion Road. The property is zoned PBI, Planned Business Industrial.
All right. Before you tonight is a development plan application for the City of Lebanon Street Department garage that's being proposed out in the business park. Let me get to my place here. We'll start here just with the overall site. If you're familiar with this area out in the business park, this is the Gene Haas Training Center. You see here out by the road. We've got this residual piece of property that's back behind here. That's the proposed site for this new street garage. A couple of quick things just on the site itself. There will actually be a parcel split here so that the street garage sits on its own parcel. It'll take up kind of this back corner, and then probably about half of this, pond, everything to the west will be part of the parcel. You'll see it here on a second when I pull up the development plan. But that's the intention here, is to split a separate parcel for the street garage that will be developed here in the back of the property. You can see here, this is the strip center here, and then the retail uses out along the interstate that are directly adjacent. Everything to the south is all industrial uses in the business park. So let me pull up. Start with this. You know what? I don't think I want that. Let's actually go to this one. This might take a second to pull up, so I'll just do a little bit of the history here. The development application did go to the Board of Zoning Appeals at their January 4th meeting. There were a couple of variances they did seek that are very similar to other variances that we have seen out in the business park. The first being parking area curbing. As soon as this comes up, I can show you here. Essentially what you have here is you've got a customer parking area per se out front of the building that will meet all of our parking standards. And then to the back, you have the area where all the trucks and equipment, et cetera, will be stored and or we'll be using, the material storage back there. So the area to the back where it's primarily the equipment and truck area, they did eliminate the curbing along that area to allow for sheet draining of stormwater into the pond that's to the rear of the building. Similar to the parking lot perimeter landscaping request, again, in the areas where it's primarily trucks, where trucks and landscaping don't intermingle very well, they did ask for a variance to allow to eliminate the landscaping along this rear of the property on the perimeter that really just faces some of the backs of the other industrial buildings. And then the third one is parking lot interior landscaping. Again, just a reminder, they did meet all of these landscaping standards out in this parking lot out to the front, which is visible from the street. But in the rear, where you've got a lot of trucks and equipment that's moving around, if you add interior landscaping islands to the parking lot, again, there's a lot of issues with trying to maneuver trucks and equipment when you're trying to also maneuver around those landscape islands. So they did get those 3 variances approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals a few weeks ago. And then the final step in the planning approval process is the development plan approval, which is before you here tonight. Just to walk, let me zoom in a little bit so you can see a little bit better. Just to walk through a little bit how this is going to work. You can see here that they've created a new drive to provide access back to the site, so they're not sharing the parking lot and access with the Gene Haas Training Center. So you've got a new drive aisle that comes in from the north, just comes across the back of the fire access road for the Gene Haas Center, and then comes back into this into the area for the street garage. Again, there's a customer parking area that you see out here in front of the building. The office for street employees is out here in the front, and in the back is placed to park different trucks and equipment in the back here of the building. Again, you'll see here then all of the recycling areas towards the back in the fenced area, the salt barn, and then again be to the back of the building that you see here. They do allow for potential future expansion to the north of the building if it's ever necessary. Same an area back here where they could add on to the paved area to the back of the building for the equipment area to accommodate any future expansion that might be needed. Again, they have the proposed detention to the back of the property in this odd-shaped triangular, little narrow triangular piece. That's where the detention is going to be for the site. So that's the quick outline of how the site lays out. This did go through the technical advisory committee review, and comments were provided, and many of them have already been addressed, but they're still working on a few final things. In terms of the development standards, they have met all of the applicable development standards, including setbacks and frontage, et cetera, with what's being proposed here. They have met all the required parking, so they're required to have 1 space per employee plus 1 space for each company vehicle, which equates to 27 spaces, and they have provided 27 spaces. You got 14 regular spaces out front, 1 handicap space, and then 12 vehicle storage spaces to the rear of the building. Currently, they have not provided a lighting plan for the site, so we just have indicated that they will have to provide a photometric plan that meets all applicable standards for any lighting that's going to be proposed on the site, if there is any. Certainly, this has still got a level of design that still needs to be done before it's ready for that. And additionally, signs. So specific sign plans for any wall or ground signs would need to be provided to the planning office prior to installation of any signs that meet all applicable standards. And again, we'll go back so you can see what the building looks like. This is just a quick rendering. What you see here, it's a combination of, it's got to re-render itself here. It's a combination of masonry and architectural metal panels, which are permitted materials within the Planned Business Industrial Zoning District. Well, maybe it's not going to come back for me. Let's try this again. Still working. You got a quick glimpse of it. This is a larger file, so it's taking a second to render it here, but as you see, it's an attractive building. That's something that's definitely complementary to other uses in the business park. It does meet all the applicable architectural standards for the Planned Business Industrial Zoning District, so they have met those requirements as well. So other than the 3 variances that they got from the of the Unified Development Ordinance. So finally, staff recommendation. We do recommend approval of the development plan contingent on the following conditions. One is the TAC comments, and that they adequately address any remaining technical advisory committee comments prior to application for any building permits or site improvements. Second item is lighting plan, that the applicant shall submit a lighting and photometric plan that meets all applicable standards prior to application for any building permits or site improvements. And finally, the signage plan, that the applicant shall submit a signage plan indicating location and elevation of all proposed signs and receive sign permits before any sign installation. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Ben, is the existing pond going to stay?
It is.
Do you know the depth of that by chance?
I don't know off the top of my head. The engineer is here. He might be able to answer that question for you in a moment. But I do know they needed some additional detention for the additional impervious surface on the site.
I guess I was just looking at it in the sense of if it was even possible of making the new one bigger or deeper, closing that one off and running the rest to the other one to be able to have, you know, more area or more ground area in that in the future.
I would defer to the designers and then also to the folks with the street department and possibly Kevin to address.
Just a thought, I
questions
just.
about expansion.
Okay.
I know that Gene Haas Center does all drain to that front pond, so then you're having to redirect the storm sewer.
And I noticed some of the retail facility also drained over to it as well. So I didn't know if that back one could be dug deeper or to eliminate the front one.
Yeah, I'll let Greg address that here in a second.
On that note, I will, if it's okay with the commission, I will abstain from voting on this topic, as I have been very much involved with the planning and development of the project to this point, so I feel it's appropriate, given that knowledge, that I should abstain, but happy to answer any technical questions as your engineer.
Ben, on the
Question,
what kind of fence are they going to put up?
I'm sorry, I got two people talking.
What kind of fence are they going to put up there?
Can you speak in the microphone a little bit? I can't hear you.
Yeah, I said, what type of fence are they going to put up there where it says a plan of operation?
Again, I don't know that I have details on the actual fence. I believe it's chain link, though. It's a 6-foot chain link fence.
Well, along those same lines, will that fence line be screened, or will there be some kind of, what is the buffer like between that and the retail center?
There isn't buffer required.
Okay.
Get a little context, I mean, compared to the old building, I mean, how much bigger is this one?
Again, I'll let the street department, I don't know the existing square foot. I'll let those guys address the details on their needs in terms of operations.
Any other questions for Ben? Okay. We'll have the applicant come up, please.
Good evening. My name is Greg Ilko. I'm with Crossroad Engineers. We have office at 3417 Sherman Drive, Beech Grove, Indiana, 46107, representing the Highway Department. Just kudos to Ben. Greatly appreciate the presentation. Very thorough. Stole all my thunder. So I won't belabor the audience or the Plan Commission with reiterating what Ben has provided. I'll simply state or answer some of the questions. As far as the detention goes, the Haas Training Center, that existing pond was sized specifically for the Haas facility that's out there now, as well as some expansion that was anticipated at the Haas Center. We did not want to encroach or infringe upon their proposed detention, so we left their pond alone. They've got an easement, a spillway, outlet structure, and approved outlet release rates from that pond, and we didn't want to disturb any of that. So what we did was we implemented a detention pond behind the new highway garage that met the current discharge rates that are tying into the public storm facility. So they needed to remain separate. They act together. It's kind of two ponds in series now, but the release rates that are leaving the overall site are no greater than what they were currently. As far as room for expansion, let me say that we are addressing all the TAC comments. We don't have any issues with all that. We continue to work with the architect for finalization of the building plans. So once we have that, the lighting plan will be nailed down and signage plan will be nailed down. So we'll have all that, but the rest of the TAC comments are coming. But in conjunction with that, we did reconfigure the pond and shifted it to the southwest a little bit, tucking it into the unusable point of the triangle that gave the highway department more room behind the proposed fence that you saw on the site plan, if for some reason they were to expand further south. Ben showed you where they were going to expand kind of to the west, northwest. We're now providing areas to the south, just in efficiency of land use, I suppose. The 6-foot chain link fence, I think that was a question. Ben answered that one. I'll leave it at that. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the public or Plan Commission may have, but greatly appreciate approval of the development plan. Oh, is Dave here? Dave, did you want to speak on the size comparison?
Hey, I'm Dave with the street department. I don't know a lot of you, but as far as size, I mean, a lot of people don't realize because they don't come to our facility, but all of our brand new trucks and stuff sit outside year round. Right now, if you came to our shop, you'd see that we got everything nose to tail in our garage that fits as far as our plow trucks, and we got 3 sitting outside. It's hard to give you a square footage because over the years, I think the building was built in the 60s by Triangle Asphalt, which the city somehow got in the 80s, I believe, but the police department built a garage on our property back when they, I think they serviced their trucks there or cars there or whatever it was. So we've kind of taken that over, so I don't know the size of that one. It's a 2-bay garage. We got 3 offices, a small break room that was an office. I mean, we've had over the years try to expand the bathroom to meet handicap. I mean, you know, it's just, we've outgrown this is what we've done, and the building's old, and it's just time to, but as far as what we've planned now, we can fit every piece of equipment we got and have a little bit of space still, so we could move equipment or something. We're trying to plan for that. Obviously, you know, we don't know the growth of the city, so we have planned ahead, like Kevin said, and like they mentioned, you know, for future growth. You know, we would love to be able to go out there and build a 50-bay garage and be like, we're ready to rock and roll, but the price just ain't, you know, it ain't feasible right now, because we'd have 25 empty bays or whatever. But, and as the office space, I mean, we're trying to, we do spring cleanup and fall cleanup, as everybody knows. You know, our guys have to, if they get all muddy and nasty when we're doing the work, and they have to go home like that. Well, this place, we're trying to provide them with the showers, lockers, you know, just modern stuff you don't think about. When we do cleanup, they can go in and clean up. They don't have to take that stuff home. And, you know, handicap accessible. Our building's really not user-friendly to the public, which ain't a problem right now because we're kind of closed down. But we're just trying to get with the times, and we really looked at where we were at. We'd love to stay where we're at, but we can't fit. We're doubling in size. It's 6 acres out there. We're 3 where we're at. We can't. We went with the KRM and everybody. We just can't fit a building on our property and have future expansion. Plus, we're trying to be a little bit more neighbor-friendly. 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, we're kind of on Lafayette Avenue. We're not the best neighbors when we're out backing backhoes and beeper trucks and trying to fill up our salt. And, you know, nobody's ever complained. They understand, but, you know, I'm sure it's when you're trying to get up in the morning for a job or your kids are trying to get to school, we're not the best neighbors sometimes. But that's just what we're trying to, you know, accommodate for the future. The city's growing, and we don't want to be left behind. And, you know, we want to keep up. We want our nice equipment inside. I mean, where it's kind of a, you know, we take our keys out and stuff, but we're just, one of our fences is a couple feet high. I mean, if somebody want to come in and mess with our stuff, we really can't. Not much we can do about it. So we're trying to just protect our nice equipment from now on, and, you know, provide our guys with a good place to work. But we're definitely, to answer your question, we're definitely growing. I mean, we're getting, everything will be inside. We won't have birds messings all over our nice trucks while they're sitting outside.
Is there an indoor drainage system built into this too?
I'm sorry?
Is there like an indoor garage drainage system for you guys when?
Yeah. Everything will be inside because they know we got our plow trucks draining, so all that'll go to sanitary. Yeah, everything. You know, we got 2 gates, one to let us into that the public can't come back to where we're driving our trucks, you know, and get run over or get hurt, but we also have a gate that, you know, they can get to recycling still, so we'll still be able to be a recycling center, and just changing it up a little, just modernizing, I guess, really, is what we're trying to do.
And just for clarification on that drainage system on the inside, that does go through an oil separator, and it's gray water collects, it's to the sewer, sanitary sewer, not the detention ponds.
I have a question. What about the driveway out to the road? Is it going to be wide enough for you to, with your trucks and the plows on it? And how the entrance, how wide is the entrance?
So the entrance at the existing roadway, I actually put on our turning movement software, I put a WB63, which is a NDOT design vehicle that has a 53-foot trailer. So yes, and you'll, I don't know, Ben, if you can show the site plan on here. I don't want to screw anything up. But it's a wide drive for vehicles, specifically the tractor trailers that may come in, and then turning movements through and behind the building, they can do a 3-point turnaround or maybe even a 4-point, but they can get back out.
Well, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, they do go in that we have some the biggest trucks deliver. We just estimated the biggest truck. We don't have a lot of trucks just in case.
Right. Wanted to make sure.
The only thing
Any other
The only
questions?
thing you did say was.
Okay, I'll open up to the public. Anyone have anything to say? Public hearing? Yeah, what? And then we'll close the hearing. Not seeing any. Okay, need a motion?
I'll make a motion that we recommend docket item number 21-2 onto the Common Council for consideration, contingent upon the staff recommended topics.
This one isn't a recommendation, this one's just an approval of the development plan.
I motion to approve docket item number 21-2.
I'll second.
Before we take a vote, do we want to make that subject to the three conditions that are set forth in the...
So third time's the charm here.
There you go.
I will make a motion to approve docket item number 21-2 contingent upon the staff report items being addressed.
Okay, we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Dolly, we call the roll, please?
Ally Mullen? Yes. Ashley Paddock?
Yes.
JohnLassley?
Yes.
Keith Campbell?
Yes.
Jeremy Lawler?
Yes.
Brian Tandy?
Yes.
Dan Bayshore?
Yes.
Lori Gross.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Can you
Thank
make
you.
sure Kevin is
He
abstained?
abstained.
You got it? Okay. Thank you. Okay, Ben, the next docket is docket 21-3, Grand Communities LLC requesting plat vacation of Edgewood, section number 2, section 3, and section 7. Ben?
Very good. I'll pull up my exhibit here. This is a little bit of a unique request. It's not something that comes up very often. In fact, we asked the county when the last time that they had a vacation request like that for a plat, and they sent us something from 1950. So this doesn't come up very often, but is in this case. If they want to pull up the screen, if you recall, this is the Cedar Ridge development for Fisher Homes that's being proposed here on this property just east of Edgewood. And we have a situation here where back in 1970, the developer at the time recorded additional sections of Edgewood that were never constructed. None of the infrastructure or anything was ever constructed. None of the homes were ever constructed. And those are represented here by these Section 2, Section 3, and Section 7. Actually, technically, a portion of Section 7 did get developed that's directly adjacent here, but this is the remaining portion of Section 7 that did not get developed. So what we need to do in order to set the stage for them to be able to plat their development, which is a little bit different street alignment and lot alignment than what you see here, is we have to vacate the plats, basically erase the lines, if you will, and then also vacate any of the right-of-way that was dedicated here too. So we'll actually would need two motions for you tonight. One would be an approval to vacate the plat. That is a decision made by the Plan Commission. So we would need an approval to vacate the plats and any associated easements. And then we'd also need a recommendation from you on the vacation of the right-of-way, because right-of-way can only be vacated by the council by ordinance. So we would need two different decisions tonight on these items. So just to walk you through a little bit on the screen here, you can kind of see there's a couple elements. This is all of, in yellow is all of Section 2. No improvements were ever made in this area. So we would just be vacating the plat for Section 2. Same with Section 3. This is the entirety of Section 3 that you see here outlined in blue, vacating all of Section 3. And then Section 7, this is about half of the section. There's about 3 or 4 lots that are directly adjacent that were developed. So we'd be vacating just this portion of Section 7. And in terms of the right-of-way, we've got a couple of little pieces of right-of-way in Section 3 that would need to be vacated, and a portion that's in Section 2 that you see here. And then what I've highlighted in red is actually a portion of right-of-way that was platted with the first section of Edgewood was never paved. And what we're going to do is vacate that little section, because what Fisher Homes is going to do is they're actually developing a new entrance off of Fordyce Street to the north here. So they're not intending to use this right-of-way here that was stubbed back in the 70s from Edgewood. So we will actually vacate the portion of right-of-way you see here in red. which actually would then return that, one half of that right-of-way to each neighboring property owner to the north and to the south. So we'll have to do a number of different, when this gets to the council, there's going to be a number of different ordinances, because we'll have to vacate these right-of-ways separately from what you see here, so we can return those to the property owners. So by vacating these plats, we basically erase the lines, and all the right-of-way returned to the developer because he owned all the adjacent right-of-ways. We've determined the only locations where there are any utilities that would be impacted by the vacations are within the right-of-way in red. So we've asked the developer to prepare easement documents. So we'd essentially replace the right-of-way with an easement to protect those utilities that are located within that area. And then also there are utilities that run directly behind these homes, basically between the two properties. So there is a portion of the easement that's on the property that will be developed by Fisher Homes. So they'll need to prepare a document that records an easement to protect those utilities to the back of these properties, and they are prepared to do so. So that is what's before you here tonight. Again, that kind of walks through it. So again, just a reminder that we would need two motions for you here tonight. There's first would be approval to vacate the plats for sections 2, 3, and a portion of section 7 and all associated easements. And that would be subject to the applicant recording the necessary per Lebanon Utilities direction to accommodate any existing utility services. And then the second portion of that would be a recommendation on the vacation of the right-of-way associated with these sections. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Ben, is there anything we have to do back in the back of those houses, that small piece in 7, the blue?
Other than recording the easement to protect the utilities, all we'd be doing is we'd be preparing a specifies just the legal description for the area that's getting vacated. So in terms of the vacation, there wouldn't be impacting anybody in the existing portion of Section 7 that's developed. So they would be recording that vacation document with the county to essentially erase the lines for the undeveloped portion of Section 7, and then subsequently recording that easement for the utilities that are back there.
Yep, thank you. Is the applicant would like to speak?
They are not here. They, unfortunately, with our date change from last week, they had conflicts this week.
Okay.
If they have any specific questions that I can't answer, I can give them a call. They are watching from Ohio, so I can get them on the phone if you have anything specific, but they weren't able to make it tonight.
Anybody on the board have any questions for Ben or for the applicant that Ben could answer? Okay, don't see any. I'll now open up the public hearing and see if anyone would like to speak. Not seeing anyone, we'll close the public hearing. Thank you. Okay. We need to...
All motion to approve the request of vacation in sections 2, 3, and the piece of 7.
Okay,
I'll second.
That's subject to the utility.
Let's do it separate.
right. Subject to the utilities easement.
Does it need to be on there? Or is that with?
Yeah, we just need the approval on the vacation for the flats, which is what you did, and then we'll do a separate motion for the
Right.
recommendation on the right-of-way vacation.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Kelly, call the roll, please.
Ellie Mullen? Yes. Ashley Paddock?
Yes.
John Lashley?
Yes.
Kevin Krulik?
Yes.
Keith Campbell?
Yes.
Jeremy Lawler?
Yes.
Brian Tandy?
Yes.
Dan Bayshore?
Yes.
Lori Gross.
Yes.
And we need a second motion, right,
Yeah,
Ben, on the vacation?
this one would be a motion, either favorable or unfavorable recommendation to forward the right-of-way vacation to the common council. If that made sense.
Yep, it's either favorable or unfavorable.
And this one would include the utility?
That wouldn't include the...
So the easements are part of the plat,
Okay.
Right.
which would have been the first motion.
Okay. So what is the second motion? What
So
is-
this one would be sending the right-of-way vacation request to the council with either a favorable or unfavorable recommendation.
Okay. I'll make a motion to send the right-of-way vacation to the council with a favorable recommendation.
Let's second that.
And we have a second.
You second?
Yeah.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, Kelly, would you call the roll, please?
Okay. Colleen Mullen? Yes. Ashley Paddock? Yes. John Lastly?
Yes.
Kevin Krulik?
Yes.
Keith Campbell?
Yes.
Jeremy Lawler?
Yes.
Brian Tandy?
Yes.
Dan Bayshore?
Yes.
Lori Gross.
Yes.
Okay, it's all passed.
Thank you.
That it, Ben, for that one? Okay, we'll move on to docket number 21-7. The updating the Lebanon Comprehensive Plan to include the bicycle and pedestrian mobility plan in the industrial park. Is that the right?
So I'll give this a very brief introduction and turn it over to our consultant to give you a short
Okay.
presentation on the plan. A little bit of background on this. As you all are very familiar with the Lebanon Business Park, you probably are also aware there's no sidewalks or any connectivity other than on the main roads that are through there. So as we think about the future of that park and as it evolves, it's very important to have pedestrian bicycle connectivity for amenities and also even to provide people the ability to get to and from work via something. So what we're doing here is kind of looking at the grand plan for how we might provide some of those amenities to the business park. So as it's going to be a very opportunistic development. You know, if there's certain grant programs available to the state, we can go after to get some money to do things like this. That's probably how we'll approach implementing something like this. But we did want to have a plan in place so that at such time that one of those grant programs become available, we have a plan in place to go after those things. And again, just a little bit on the process then too. This is a two-step process here as well to amend the comprehensive plan. It would be a recommendation from the Plan Commission tonight, and then the council would adopt the amendment by resolution. So it would be that take a second step there. But we want to start tonight and give you a quick presentation, get some of the highlights of the plan, and then let you ask questions.
Thank you, Ben. My name is Ken Riemenschneider. I'm with Kimley Horn, and I'm joined by my colleague, Brandon Schrag. President Campbell and members of the commission, thank you for the privilege to speak to you tonight. These types of facilities will be an expansion of the quality of life facilities that you have here in the city of Lebanon. You've been doing great work with trails and connectivity. We had the privilege to work on your downtown plan and work on the trail connection from your courthouse square out to the Big Four Trail. And we have, in the process of doing this study, looked at ways to be able to connect back into town to provide people in your community the opportunity to be able to bike to work in your business park. And when we did do the survey with business owners and business operators within your business park, we got a pretty strong reaction to the need that is out there, and providing these types of facilities will make it safer for people that when they do have a break from work and they go out and walk. What we were being told was, well, you know, our employees just walk around the parking lot. It sure would be nice to have facilities that are more appealing and safer. And so this plan is a step in that direction. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Brandon to get into the details.
Thanks, Ken. So Brandon Schrag with Kimley Horn. I'm going to run through the highlights, have a short presentation, kind of walk you through the process. And then, yeah, definitely any questions. So just looking at the schedule quickly, we started back in May of 2020, ended up submitting a plan to the city in December. So, you know, the first part of the process, really looking at the base mapping and, you know, the logistics and all the properties that are in the Lebanon Business Park. You know, we started to develop questionnaires, stakeholder questionnaires in month 2, came up with concepts, met with city officials, elected officials, and went through some processes there. And then kind of later in the process, had some more stakeholder engagement, and we'll go through that in a little bit more detail in a minute. And then in November, we did present to the Redevelopment Commission very similar sort of presentation and our draft plan state. So as I mentioned, we looked through, obviously familiarizing ourselves, the planning team, with the existing conditions in the business park. So looking at business park owners and tenants, understanding the property, looking through previous plans that were prepared. For example, your bike and ped plan in 2015, your thoroughfare plan, and then the comp plan process that was recently carried out. So, looking for engagement opportunities, outreach, in obviously May of 2020 and thereafter, with the pandemic, COVID. So a lot of it was more virtual. So we kind of shifted our thinking towards the online surveys, for example. So we had that with the business park owners in coordination with Duke Realty Leasing. They were kind enough to shoot out the link to the tenants and anybody leasing space and owners as well. We also met with the Boone County EDC virtually, kind of had a conversation about the project, presented some concepts, and then they were kind enough to send out that same link in their newsletter. So we were able to reach, we think, the right target audience in doing so. And then later on in the process, the city included some short questionnaires in their city newsletter. So, I think we really did some outreach to find out what folks think about the plan and the process, and engaging various stakeholders. We did have a couple city administration meetings as well, concept planning, review, some back and forth on design, and some routing. So all in all, pretty extensive outreach for the project. So the concept plan, I'm not going to go through it in great detail. It's kind of small on the screen. So, but in general, Enterprise Boulevard was really looked at as the spine of the network. Obviously, State Road 32 towards the north and 39 towards the south. And how do we cross those? How do we use those? How do we then go across I-65 in certain locations? So kind of thinking through some of that and what's the possibilities that we have there, and then also getting to the Big Four Trail, not only going into the downtown, but then also going out into the county. So a very popular trail system, and how do we connect to that as well? So some thinking with that. Enterprise Boulevard, getting into a few details. Enterprise Boulevard, we really studied that in probably the greatest amount of detail, just knowing that would be the spine network of the trail system, and what are the various conditions alongside Enterprise Boulevard. So, for example, you can see what happens if we need to elevate the side path, the trail next to the Enterprise Boulevard. What happens if we're going over water or any sort of stormwater facility? Is there a condition where we're into a hillside, that sort of thing. So we looked at those in cross-section format just to kind of understand how that could work. And then also what potential right-of-way needs would need to happen for that to get kind of the spine network into the plan. We also looked at amenity areas. Concept A here is an existing common area within the park and primarily stormwater detention. And what if we added a few amenities to that, boardwalk, a pavilion, trailhead parking, some signage, some bike parking as well, that sort of thing. In concept B, we went a little bit above and beyond that, and we added maybe more of a park setting. Maybe there's a playground equipment, splash pad, anything like that, as well as maybe public restrooms that would help support the trail system down on this side of town. Did a few concept renderings of what that trailhead might look like, and then also how do we incorporate the City of Lebanon Big Four, as well as the Big Four Trail signage into the design concept. Part of the master plan comes up with design standards, so primarily for pedestrian facilities, and also looking at wayfinding and signage. Looking at landscape treatments, looking at site furniture, benches, and bike parking, trash cans, all that stuff, just so that it kind of has a nice cohesive look and feel to the improvements that have been recently made in your downtown. Also, same thing with pavement, so thinking about pavers and some of that would match then kind of the Big Four Trail in the downtown. We then look at, what are some logical routes that we could kind of break this off into, break it up into. So having, some bite-sized pieces, if you will, that could be a little bit more manageable from a grant funding perspective or anything like that. So to implement the project over time, kind of meant to be a phased approach. And then also kind of took a look at a potential pilot project. So, this could connect at kind of the Gene Haas area that was being discussed earlier on Garofalo Boulevard, kind of your hospitality area, closer to 32 and 65, and then bringing that down into those central amenity areas that we just looked at. So we're showing both concepts, concept A and B in the central amenity area. One of those would be selected and kind of work through into a higher level of design. But that's the idea, is to be able to connect the central amenity area to that hospitality area you have near 32 and 65. We then, for those routes, the phasing options, we came up with some order of magnitude cost estimates just to kind of help with funding discussions in the future. And I think, with that, is any questions, we'd be happy to answer those.
Anyone on the board have questions? Sounds like a great idea to move it along, see where we can go. So, we'll, do we need a motion on this, Ben, or just for information? I know.
Recommendation.
This one, again, would be a recommendation to the council, so you'd be looking at a favorable or unfavorable recommendation for the comprehensive plan amendment to forward it to the council.
Yeah, also, Ben, I want to open up the public hearing, although I don't see anyone out there.
Unless Matt has something for us. he wants to
Unless
add.
Matt, he's not going to talk. So we'll close the meeting, public hearing. Okay. Need a recommendation from the board.
I sent the Lebanon Business Park Mobility Plan to the council with a favorable recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to move favorable recommendation and a second. Kelly, call the roll, please.
Ali Mullen? Yes. Ashley Paddock? Yes. John Lashley?
Yes.
Kevin Krulik?
Yes.
Keith Campbell?
Yes.
Jeremy Lawler?
Yes.
Brian Tandy?
Yes.
Dan Bayshore?
Yes.
Lori Gross?
Yes.
Okay. Ben, is there any other business that we need? Okay. And I always, the one everybody likes to hear, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 We're adjourned. Thank you. And the next meeting is on February 16th, 2021. Thank you.